Stories. And today I'm talking with my very good friend, Nakasuchi. You guys know him as a Raging Atheist on YouTube. By the way, there is a link to that channel down below in the description. Also, a link to his Twitter if you want to follow him around. But he's been known to charge people for stalking, so you might want to be careful. And, I also have a link to his Patreon if you want to support his channel. And I really think you should. And as soon as I can make up my mind on who I'm not going to be a patron of anymore, I'm going to add him to the list. So, because I've got this budget where I can do about $60 US a month, and it's already full up. But there's some people that don't need my $5 a month. So, I might just say, hey, X, I'm gonna actually support a buddy of mine who doesn't quite bring in the cash cow like you do, and start following him. Anyways, Nakaman, what I do here is I talk to people about their deconversion stories or how religion influenced them, and I've got a couple of really cool ones coming up, by the way. You familiar with Steven Tiger?
No, I don't believe so.
Find him on Twitter. He's a brilliant mind. And he's got a very interesting story that I got him to come on the show. Been following him for a while. And he's got a story where he'll be telling us about all the times he tried to find a religion to follow, but he couldn't get past all the bullshit. So it's going to be a very interesting conversation, I think. Anyways, why don't you take us back to the beginning of your interesting journey? I know you started out in Christianity and you ended up in a couple other venues or avenues as well. So.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I started to go into a little bit in my channel, and then, my OCD went a different way, and I've just been obsessed with what I've been obsessed with lately. But I do plan on getting back to it. So this is pretty much like a perfect opportunity for my mind to start getting back there. I started writing this out about a month and a half ago, when me and Neil first planned to do this. Just thinking back and when was it really that I first had my doubts? Because I've often maintained I was an American Christian. I wasn't raised fundamental. I was raised Baptist, but it wasn't fundamental. I was raised in a very poor family that resorted to alcohol and drugs to kind of get through the hardships of their life. So they believed in God and they went to church, but at the same time, they were very hypocritical about their belief systems. My dad got me out of that fairly early in life. I was in the second grade the first time I moved from Michigan to North Carolina. And then we moved back the next year with my mom because, we missed home. But then we moved back in the fourth grade and we stayed there. And it was at that time that I was really introduced into fundamental Christianity. I was surrounded by a bunch of Southern Baptists, very fundamental a lot of people say that this state is the worst and that state is the worst. I maintain that North Carolina is probably the craziest Christian state in the country. My opinion, I know I'll probably get in trouble for that, but they're crazy, especially in the area that I was growing up in, because I was growing up in a very white area, very affluent. We had some of the very richest people that you could imagine lived in the county I grew up in North Carolina. Very rich people. We had a golf tournament called the Crosby every year in my hometown, this little, very, very small town of Davie County, North Carolina. And all the most famous people that you can imagine would come. Michael Jordan was there if he wasn't in the playoffs every year. Barry Sanders. Wow. All these different people would show up every year to this really small town. And Callan's in the chat. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. We've had this discussion before. So I went from kind of this progressive, nonchalant Christian to a very, very conservative Christian, very, very short in a very, very short amount of time, because we were surrounded by it, and it became very natural for us. It was just the way it was. And we grew up, you played sports with people of different color, but you didn't associate with them, right? So we grew up very racist. We grew up very homophobic, just very redneck, conservative, Christian, Southern Baptist as you can be. And the first time I had doubts when it came to Christianity, it was over race, because I had a teammate that was he became one of my best friends. And it slowly, I told a story about how I came out of my homophobia, and it was a very similar story. I think once you get to know people and you get to see them as human beings, it becomes impossible to have hatred in your heart anymore.
Yes,
so
agreed.
So it just changed me, and I didn't just question everything around me. I questioned all of my belief systems. And it was when I was actually up here in Michigan visiting my mother in the 11th grade. I think it might have been the 10th grade, but I think it was the 11th grade because I was really good at basketball and I had scouts looking at me already. So I think it was the 11th grade.
I was terrible at basketball, by the way.
Oh, I was a natural. In North Carolina, you're kind of it's like it's just what you do. Everybody plays basketball in North Carolina. It's everybody plays, but even the people that can't play basketball play basketball.
Playing basketball.
And I'm getting over the flu, guys, so I'm kind of leaky. But
that's okay.
I was visiting my mom,
for you.
and we were playing against some guys. They're called Gus Mackers. It's a local tournament up here in Michigan, and they're really good basketball players. And they were a little older than us, and I was a really I was a star basketball player for my high school team down there, and my brother was really good at basketball. He was a better football player. And then we had my cousin who was a Michigander Yankee that didn't know how to play basketball at all, but we were able to carry him, and we were really competing with these guys. And I came down wrong. And I heard something snap or rip, but like I was worried if I made the shot wrong, if I made the shot or if I didn't make the shot. It came down to the point that I made the shot, but I severed every single ligament in my right ankle. And this was in a time where Tommy John surgery was brand new. And it was either we could have that surgery and might have a chance to save my career, or my career was over and my dad didn't want to pay the money. I don't blame him because nobody knew that Tommy John surgery would be as successful as it was. Mm-hmm. But it ended my career. It ended my hopes, my aspirations, my trip to college. It ended everything. And it was probably my first crash from just not like, why did God do that to me? Like having that first initial question, like I've been faithful, like I've done everything that I was supposed to do. I hated all the people that everybody told me I was supposed to hate.
Apparently God doesn't like basketball.
Yeah, and he took away my dream, and not just my dream, because basketball was never going to be like my career. It was going to get me out of there, and it was going to get me to college so I could really study how to be a writer, because my dream was to be a writer always. And at one point I became very very popular for a lot of my poetry.
Cool.
But unfortunately, in North Carolina, it's a very small town. You go from being a sports star to being a pariah. You're no longer helping the team win because high school sports is fucking everything. It's all of their everything. So, I hit a very low place, and it was originally the doctors gave me pain medication, and it was like, I would just keep going back, and it's, I have pain. I need my pills, and they were giving me a lot of Xanax. They were giving me a lot of a drug called Tylox, which is a very, very heavy pain reliever back then. And I became addicted. I became very addicted. And when they stopped giving me those drugs, I went to other means to get them. I got lucky. I met people that I probably should have never met. And it eventually took me into a very dark road.
Hold on.
All right.
When you say people you shouldn't have met, what do you mean by that?
I met the Mexican cartel, for instance. They ran a pool hall in the middle of nowhere out in Davie County, selling their drugs, trafficking weapons. They eventually, they didn't manipulate us. We were young kids. We were a bunch of rich white boys hooked on drugs. They took advantage. A lot of us started breaking into houses and shit. That was probably the darkest point of my life. And it was the point, like, I remember the most, where I'm begging God to take it away, to take away the need. Like, just begging him every night, like, Dad, please, I want to be the son my dad wants me to be, not this failure. I lost basketball. Now I'm this drug addict. I'm doing really bad stuff. We were stealing guns. Everybody in North Carolina has a gun. They wanted guns. 17 years old, the police had photographs of me 1,500, 2,000 yards away selling guns to these people because they were looking at these people. Obviously, Mexican cartel is in your area. You're looking at them.
You're paying attention.
I went to prison at 17. And I remember there was this moment. I've talked about it on my channel a lot because I was never a violent person, right? I was a kid that went wrong. I had the brightest future ahead of me that was taken away in a moment of time. And I was smart, I had this future and it was gone.
It was yanked. So you probably felt like,
and I carry my dad's name. So that future was yanked from my dad too. I was his legacy. Right. But there was this moment in prison because at first I became more violent. In prison, you have to be violent because if you're not, especially if you're a 6'5", 19-year-old kid like I am, when I finally landed in prison, my dad left me. My dad
taught me
that
you're not 19 anymore.
No, not anymore. But then I was. My dad left me in jail to go to court, and the court process took me forever. They kept delaying and delaying and delaying. So I ended up in jail for like a year before I finally went to prison. By the time I finally went to prison, I was 19 years old. I was 6'5". I was a lot more muscular than I am now. I played a lot of sports throughout my life. So I had, I became more violent. I became indoctrinated. I became a gang member. But I remember waking up one day and I'm like, I used to be a Christian. And I'm looking around and all of these very violent people that I'm just surrounded by, rapists and murderers and just some of the worst people that you could ever imagine being around. I mean, to the point, like, if you're in prison, you don't really ever sleep because the moment you're truly asleep is the moment they'll get you. I just looked around at all those people and I'm like, 98% of these people believe in God. 98% of them believe in this fucking God that never answered my prayers. And I didn't become an atheist. I didn't. I think sometimes I associate it with becoming an atheist, but it led me down a different road. I started to question. I wanted to find God. So I started to look into different things. And fortunately, near the end of my prison sentence, because I had been honest when I got there and I told them about all the drugs that I was on. And I had been to 4 rehabilitation centers before I'd actually went to prison because my dad was trying really hard to get me off the shit, So I was just honest with them. So they ended up sending me to Charlotte, North Carolina to be a part of this drug rehab. And there I really got a chance to just explore everything. They had this vast library and, we were in Charlotte, one of the biggest cities in North Carolina. They gave us access to the outside world so we can go to NA meetings, shit like that. We can go to the library, get a bunch of books. And I just started studying and I started to study Buddhism. And it didn't really hit me. It wasn't what I was looking for. So I started to really study Taoism. I studied Taoism for about a year and a half. And that's more like the study of yourself. It's knowing yourself so well that you're completely attuned with your surroundings. And I found a peace in myself that I'd never found before. And I still use that, like if I start to rage too much, like if I get just so worked up that I'm coming off in a negative way instead of a productive way, which happens a lot with me, then I'll use some of those Taoist principles and just remember who you are. Remember you're better than that. Just be yourself. Calm the fuck down. So I did that for a long time. And I met this guy and I was still in Charlotte. His name was Ted. And he was a Native American spiritualist. And he started talking about the Great Spirit walking Tonka and, animism a lot. Like it was all about spirit totems and
Is that the religion of anime?
yeah, no, I never really knew about it until I started meeting pagans that were telling me, oh, that's just animism. And because I would explain it to them like how it was. I had bear spirit, so I was very aggressive, very passionate. I tend to rage, but I'm also very caring, and I try to look out for people that need to be looked out for. I'm often in my real life trying to be like the shining white knight if I can be, because I'm such a big human being. Like if I can be that person, I'm going to be that person that's going to step in and save you. So he really got me into it. And I was just like, man, this makes a lot of sense. He was telling me about the Red Road. He was telling me, about how natives worked with the land and with the earth and with the animals, and we're all one, we're all related, and all these things. And I remember going home to my mom, because my mom always lived in Michigan, and we would visit her once or twice a year. And once, I was out of Charlotte, I went home to her, and I was telling her about all these things Ted was teaching me. And that's when she was, she finally started talking about our ancestry, our heritage, how one of our ancestors had left the Trail of Tears and went off on his own instead of going to Oklahoma. And that's how he got to be eventually in Michigan. And it blew my mind. And a lot of us were actually still in Tennessee. I've been talking a lot. I'm losing my breath. I'm going to take a drink.
Drink.
Not a real drink yet. But so she's telling me all of this, and I had never known it. We had always just grown up as white Irish dudes. My mother always had a very dark complexion, very straight dark hair, but she had been raised a Christian. She had been raised not to follow any of the old ways. Pretty much it's just like a note of history, way back then. So it kind of blew my mind, and I was completely sold at that point. I was 100% in. I went back to Charlotte. I told Ted that I was 100% in. I wanted to believe. And for the first time since my Christianity, I really did believe in something greater than myself. I believed that Wonkin Tonka was real. I believed that I talked to the ancestors. Now, I've often spoken about it on my channel. A lot of it was drug induced. A lot of it was,
Sure.
If not mushrooms or peyote, it would be, sweat lodges or smoke houses, to where you're very, very hot and you're breathing in these fumes, you're meditating. After hours upon hours, you'd have a hallucination. Mm. But I was into it. I was 100% into it. And then the Cherokees down there told Ted that they had to stop teaching me because of my blood. I'm a white dude. And I told them, actually, no, we have Cherokee ancestry, and my mom up in Michigan has it. She has all the family histories and all the documentation, but they didn't accept it, and I didn't have enough blood to be. But Ted was teaching me things he wasn't supposed to be teaching me. I found that out later, and I found out later after I went into another dark place in my life that he had been kind of like a con man. He had been hustling a lot of us into this very generic version of the religion, getting us sold. And he hadn't started doing it to me yet, but he had eventually started asking a lot of people for money. And me being from the area that I am, which is a very affluent area, I could understand why he chose me as a target. So, once I found all that stuff out about Ted, and after my rejection, I just became angry. I became very, very angry. My Christian relatives in Michigan had been telling me for a couple of years that it was all bullshit, that I was a heathen. One of my aunts had tried to send me to a Christian boot camp that was going to save my soul. Yeah, I mean, like literally, like I was at the time I was like 22 years old, and she's trying to behind my back send me to a fucking Christian boot camp. I'm like, what the fuck you doing? I'm a grown man, you know. But she was that worried about my soul eventually, evidently. But I went into a very dark place, and I don't think that I was an atheist. I just didn't believe in anything anymore. I'd come to the conclusion, and rightfully so, that 99.9% of the experiences that I had in those smokehouses, in those sweat lodges, or induced by a psychedelic was exactly bullshit, you know? Yeah. So, and I felt conned by it all. I felt dejected, but I didn't lash out immediately. I didn't really talk about it at all. I became focused on politics. I became an environmentalist. I became very active because I moved to Michigan permanently with legalizing marijuana here. When we first started doing it, like 12 years ago, you know, like 12 years ago, we first started to try to do that as a Democratic Party here in Michigan. 12 years later, I can smoke weed and not fear anything. You know, like it takes some time, but political activism works, y'all. I'm here to attest to it. But I was very passionate about politics. I never talked about God. I was like 99% of my family members are Christian, you know. So if I were to talk about, even like when I was talking about Wonka Tonka, even though, you know, my own mother, who was like the matriarch of our family, had told me that ancestry, they'd all just look at me like I was the crazy dude that had that crazy religion. He's going to go to hell if he doesn't find Jesus. So I wasn't trying to like insult them back then. You know, like I just stayed quiet for like 10 years. I didn't say anything at all. And what changed was like when my daughter was born, I started to become more of an adult. I became more responsible. I never thought I'd have a kid. Yeah, you know, I thought I'd be irresponsible and a loser for the rest of my life. But that started to change when she was born. And I started to be like, you know, I don't have to be the one. Why am I the one that's quiet when I have questions, right? Like I have all these questions, all these people, like, you know, I had these gay family members that believe in God, and I had these other family members that say that being gay is a sin of God. You know, these were legitimate questions that I had, and I wanted to raise, and I just couldn't be
ridiculous
quiet
idea.
The whole notion couldn't be. It actually blew up.
And he created gay people.
Well, it actually ended up blowing up here recently, about 6 months ago. I had one of those gay family members that I've always defended just totally disown me because I'm the atheist that I am, and she believes in God, you know, and it just totally disowned me. And I'm like, I'm the one that's always defended you. Like, what the, you know, but that's how it is with these people. And wow. So, you know, I started to ask those questions, and I was immediately shut down, just immediately. To where like it got to the point that I stopped asking questions and I started reading books. I started reading a lot of alternative histories, you know, different theories about what Jesus was, about what, I mean, a lot of conspiracy theories, books like Holy Blood and Holy Grail. I remember one about the 2 pillars of Judaism, how Jesus was one pillar of Judaism, and then this other Messiah dude was walking around at the same time as Jesus, and he was that other pillar. You just never hear about him, you know, a bunch of crazy shit. And it just like, so I'm just asking these questions, and it was no longer viable. Like I couldn't go to my family members asking them anymore. So I went to the clergy members in my family and asked them, and they shut me down completely. And not only that, like I've pretty much been shunned in my family ever since I went to them. So
like it was still to this day?
Oh yeah. Like none of them talk to me anymore. You know, I'm definitely not the most liked member in my family. You know, they pretend to be good Christians. You know, they pretend, but it got to the point to where I got tired of being shut down. Though I got tired of it. I got tired of nobody answering my questions. So I had been watching certain people on YouTube up to that point. You know, I've talked about it with Cyrus and a lot of different people about how completely isolated I was from like the entire community. But I saw certain people, and I was like, you know what? That would be a good venue for me. And that's when I made A Raging Atheist. I'd started politically. It wasn't shit. I was like, you know what? I'm going to rage at a camera my questions to God. And I've always said, you know, I've always been more agnostic. You know, I embrace the word atheist because people, Christians especially, don't like that word. So the whole point of the channel was to kind of just slap them in the face, from the very beginning. And I've evolved as I've had this channel. Like I've actually found peace again, and I've embraced that atheism. Yes, I am an atheist. I don't believe in a single God. I grant the premise. I have a lot of theist friends, but I'm a dick, and I'm going to call a theist on their bullshit. And I'm not going to be shut down anymore. Even if I'm wrong, prove to me that I'm wrong so I can look at it and I can learn. And then I'll prove to you how you're wrong. That's just the way I look at it. So yeah, that's pretty much how I came out of it. It was a long journey to the point to where I was like, I'm no longer going to be quiet. And I'm going to, in fact, just be loud about it. And it started on YouTube, but then it really trickled into my Facebook feeds. So now everybody in North Carolina just absolutely is itching for me to return. The thing that I've always said about myself is, and I've said this from the very beginning, Neil, is I might not be the brightest apple in the bunch, but I'm usually the bravest. And I've spent my entire YouTube career fighting the worst. Sometimes it kind of makes me a little bit of an extremist. If you deal with the worst, it's going to have some effects on you. But I'm pretty happy with what I've done here, and the people that I've met, people like you, a lot of people in the chat tonight that I've known for quite a while, man. It's been enlightening. Like I've lived a life that I don't think most have, and at the same time, I came out of it a good person, fighting for social justice and equality for others. So I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I hate the term social justice warrior because I think that's a little bit too much, but I'm definitely a social justice advocate.
Yeah, that's what I say too.
Yeah. Well,
any questions for you? That was like my story, but like any questions from the chat, I'd feel free to answer them. I kind of glossed over my Native American stuff. I know Inquisitive wanted to talk about No Dapple, and I think he's probably been posting it in the chat. So, but we can talk about that in the after show as well.
IQ is not in the chat as far as I can tell.
Oh, not yet? Maybe he's waiting for it later.
He might be.
We were talking earlier.
Well, yeah, I was under the impression that he was going to be here, so something may have come up.
Yeah. But yeah, I kind of ran through it rather quickly because I stopped being able to breathe there. But yeah, it's been a crazy road. I've been I'd say an outright atheist for about 6 years, to where I've embraced being what Christians call me. Philosophically, I don't think I'm necessarily an atheist at all. I think I grant the premise that a God exists. I always have. Every conversation I had with Matt Powell, I always granted that premise, and he couldn't get beyond it. Darth Dawkins couldn't get beyond it. And man, we've had some, me and him have had some interactions.
Well, I mean, I'm sort of, I'm more on the page that there's a lot behind the whole God thing. I mean, we're talking about an afterlife. Mm-hmm. And I just finished reading an article by, what's his name? I think it was Sean Carroll, about physics says that an afterlife is actually impossible. So, and I kind of agree with that. And I've always thought that.
Yeah, so do I.
People sort of say, when you die, your soul leaves the body. I'm like, oh, really? So what contains the soul then? Where does it go? What's holding it together? Are they particles, atoms? Like what? What are we talking about here? Do they dissipate? Do they? Because that's what would happen, right?
I would say, I wish, one day that I'd see my mom again.
Of course.
I would, if that's the one thing Christians are right about, I will give you that. If that's a possibility, but if burning in hell's really an afterlife it seems to me like most of the afterlife scenarios don't really equate. Being a Taoist for a while, we believed in reincarnation. And I think a lot of Native American traditions believe in reincarnation as well. That would be more viable of an afterlife to me because, energy can't be destroyed. It seemed like it would be processed. I know. I think personally we
First law
absorb
of
back into the ground, but you know, it makes more sense than like burning in hell forever, going to this paradise, whether you believe that there's virgins there waiting for you or you're gonna, be a slave to Yahweh for the rest of eternity. Doesn't seem like very viable afterlife solutions to me. Right. I would hope that you could see your family again. Like I always told some of my pagan friends that some of their afterlife shits I really hope would happen. Like if that's how it's going to be, I could take it.
I always like the South, not South Park, Family Guy take on the Muslim afterlife with the virgins. Mm-hmm. The guy gets up there and they're all like Star Trek nerds and shit behind.
Yeah, I used to have a lot of fun with that. I've stayed away from Islam mainly, but I think I'm going to start getting back into it. A lot of our, one of my new friends, especially Faye, but John has really been getting into that community and breaking through. And I agree with him. I think that we should work more with them. I think that they go through a lot more than what we have to go through. So, so yeah, I'm going to stop shying away from Islam so much, I think. Just because leftists might get a little mad about it. I'm a leftist. They'll have to get over it.
You lean left. I hate the term leftist too. Like, what?
Yeah, I like calling myself what I really am. Like I'm a social democrat. Like I think on the terms of the world, like that's kind of a moderate.
Yeah. Santi the Sane wants to know where Nakasuchi name came from.
It originally was actually a wilderness camp I went to. I was too smart to fail in the 8th grade. That's an interesting story. I've talked about this on my channel too. I was too smart to fail. My IQ and I was just clearly like too intelligent to fail the 8th grade. But I had a moment of crisis in the 8th grade to where I wanted to move back with my mom because I missed my mom. And so I moved back with my mom for 4 months. And during that period of being in school up here in Michigan, I got really behind compared to school in North Carolina. So when I returned to North Carolina, because I was like, fuck, I've got to play football the next year. What the hell am I doing? When I returned to North Carolina, I was going to fail. So
oh, shit.
I was too smart to fail. And the solution was wilderness camp. So they sent me to a place to where you're either too smart to fail school and you get all the credits, all the credits that you wouldn't have got, you get them all. But it's also half filled up by juvenile delinquents that were sent there by the court. So half of them are really smart kids that didn't really do much wrong except for they didn't make the grade that year, and the other half were criminals. So it wasn't a very good mix. But the group I landed in was called Nakasuchi, and it was it means the little bear, a little bear. And the name always kind of stuck. I used Nak as like my nickname for a long time. But when I got into Native American spirituality, I told Ted about it. So Ted thought it was hilarious. And he's like, you're like the biggest man. And I would literally probably was the biggest man he knew. So, and he just thought it was funny. So when I did my name changing ceremony, I didn't know that Ted was going to do that. When I had my name changing ceremony in Cherokee, North Carolina, my name was Nakasuchi that they gave me, and the elders give you your name, so Ted had told them all the story and they all thought it was fucking hilarious. And yeah, we're going to call him Nakasuchi. So that's how I became Nakasuchi.
It's not, I mean, we've all had that friend that's like massive and everyone calls him tiny, right? Like, that's tiny.
Yeah,
tiny fuckers blocking out the sun, for Christ's sake. What are you talking about?
I've gotten in a lot of arguments with friends that I grew up with down in North Carolina, and a couple of them actually went to the same wilderness camp, but they went because they were juvenile delinquents. And so like I keep waiting for them just to fuck with me and come on my YouTube channel and think that they're gonna get me like, your name isn't Nakasuchi because that was the wilderness camp you went to. Like, yeah, dude, I talked about that about a year and a half ago. So go look at the video. I'm always open about it. Yeah. So yeah, it was basically a joke name. And they took a very serious opportunity where I was like, cool, I'm gonna get my native name. I'm gonna be a real native. And it's a joke name. But so I only got it because I had bear spirit though. Like if it hadn't lined up with my bear spirit, they would have never done it. You know, they just thought it was kind of funny. So yeah, that's how I became Nakasuchi. The reason I started using Nakasuchi was because I started doing no DAPO videos, and at the time I was, because the elders of the Lakota tribe of Standing Rock, while they were at first very supportive of that protest, they succumbed to the pressures of the government and became very anti-protest. So at about 4 months after my first No Dapple video, they started reaching out to me with a lot of animosity. So I do have like a lot of Native American haters out there on that other side of No Dapple was a bad thing, because a lot of natives think that No Dapple is a very, very bad thing for very good reasons. I don't want to take away from their reasons, but sure. I am on the side that No Dapple is a good thing. It's kind of split us up a little bit. But yeah. So
do you actually have any First Nations blood in you?
Oh yeah. I'm 32% Cherokee.
Oh, cool. Right on.
Somewhere around there. My mom has the documents, so that my stepdad actually has them now. Yeah. And I have my actual shit somewhere in my bedroom as well. But yeah, 33% Cherokee, and then pretty much the rest is Irish, and I think about 5% Mutt. 5%, a little bit of everything.
5% of Mutt. That's pretty much me. I'm like 100% Mutt.
Yeah. So. Yes. But we would have never known it. Never in a million years had I not met Ted. If I hadn't met Ted, hadn't learned about the Native American culture, and went to my mom and told her about it, she'd have never told me. I'd have never known.
Really?
Never.
Is there a reason for that?
Just because she was raised as a Christian, like it was like an afterthought to her. You know?
Oh, I see.
You know, like, and she was raised as a very fundamental Christian. She was raised down in Tennessee in a snake handler's church. We had many conversations about that. I'm like, what the fuck? You going to a snake handler's church? Like, and she still believes in that shit. Like, she still thinks that, like, you know, God protects them. And I'm like, most of them take the things out, or if they don't, you know, if they don't devenom the snakes, they die, or they're losing thumbs and fingers and arms. I mean, just Google it, Mom. You know, Google it. But yeah, that's a whole other story, because you know, she it was another thing that really made me start a raging atheist. Actually, is I started it shortly before my mom died, but I became a real raging atheist when my mom died, because of the circumstances around her death. She died very young, and she was an alcoholic, and she had Christian family members telling her that if she just went to church, then she would be fine. You know, like Jesus would heal her.
Of course.
Right. And she did. It worked for like a good year. It did. It like she stopped drinking. And I was like, hell, Mom, if you're gonna believe, if Jesus, you know, if you're gonna believe in Jesus is gonna stop you from drinking, I'm all for it. But then she relapsed.
She obviously convinced herself that was what was happening.
But eventually,
it was all her.
Yeah, it was all her. But when she relapsed, it was, I think the guilt on her was twice as much, right? So like she just felt like she was letting Jesus down, and she had all these family members, you know, still like talking in her ear, telling her if she just keeps the faith, just keeps going to church, you know, Jesus is gonna look out for her. Now I'm sitting in the other ear like, Mom, you know, you need to probably go to detox, because she was mixing, you know, her pain pills with her alcohol. And one morning, like it was on my daughter's birthday, 2 days after Christmas, she just didn't wake up, you know, and it's like, if she would have went to detox, if she would have went and got that therapy, maybe, who knows, but you know, she had Christians in her ear, and I really started to rage at that moment. I was no longer going to be quiet. This shit is dangerous, you know, and it affected, it took my mom way too young. She was like 59 years old, I think, when she died. You know, there's no reason for it. So yeah. And it just, that was another thing that made me a raging atheist, you know, and people ask me why I rage. And I'm like, Christians are shit, man. You know, not all of them, but a very good chunk of them. I just did a premiere on one. He's a piece of work. Yeah. Have you heard about the Praise That I Am situation?
the video you just released earlier today?
Yeah.
I have yet to watch it. It came up right as I was packing up to leave from work. So
Skyler did it about 5 days ago. Had Praise on his channel and just exposed him, But I expand upon it, I think, because Praise has justified himself since then. But yeah, Praise is a Christian that got worked up, and pissed off, and threatened an atheist to pretty much murder him. You have to see it for yourself. I don't want to take away the surprise reaction you'll have, Neil. It was
okay.
It's a must watch.
No spoilers.
It's a must watch.
Okay. All right. Now, in the video that you released earlier, where you kind of review it and talk about it, is there a link to that original video in there?
Yeah. And there's a link. I guess Praise deleted the original stream, but Jay Pasick had recorded part of it and put it on his channel. The link that I put in my video earlier was Praise's justification video about his remarks, because that's what I'm responding to. And
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and it's hilarious. I mean, it gets really, really funny. It gets really, really funny. I don't want to spoil it too much. It gets really funny. He was a person that I had on he was like a Christian that I had on my channel. Like, there was a couple times, even though like he's the one, like, if you've ever seen me in a chat with Jill, Jesus is Lord, Jill will automatically go to Raging Atheist likes to have sex with animals. That's his go-to every single time. And it's because Praise in 2 of our debates pretty much accused me of bestiality because I'm an atheist and I can't have morality, so therefore I must have sex with animals.
Clearly.
One of the most ridiculous arguments I've ever had, and because of that, now I have Jesus is Lord just every single time I go into any chat on YouTube. Raging Atheist, better hide your dogs. Like every single time. So like, but even despite that,
it's kind of funny.
Despite like Praise being the one that first brought that meme up, like, I still like the guy. Like, I thought he was different. Like, I thought he was like somewhat different than the other Christians I was talking to at the time. But after this, he's right up there. He's right up there.
with the crazy ones, anyways.
Yeah. Oh man, he's right up there with Matt Powell, I would think. Right up there.
Powell literally makes me want to smash my head against a brick wall till it actually falls off.
Michigan's better now that he's gone. We're glad to be rid of him. Steven Anderson can have him. Don't come back, Matt.
Yeah.
We don't want you. We don't want you. Unfortunately, we have so many of his minions still here. Like, they're infesting the north. Michigan's going to have to do something about that. I don't know what the solution is, but the NIV are here, and it really, really sucks. They threaten me all the time, so like I need them gone.
Oh, listen, Hannibal of Carthage. Jill accuses Cyrus of polygamy, which he's a polygamist, so that's not really accusing. And Aaron her of being men.
Yeah, how was that sheep, Naka? I troll him back, and I try to pretend like it doesn't get to me, but like, people accuse you of having sex with animals. That's like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is wrong with you?
Projecting.
Like, why do you think about this stuff, man? Yeah, like, why do you think about this stuff? It's nasty. You're sick, man.
Yeah, dude. To even think to accuse somebody of that, I mean, where does that come from?
Yeah,
I'm wondering, has he thought about it himself, or?
Well, and that's what, like, I had this one stream, Ashley in the chat, she was moderating it, and she did a pretty good job. It was called Naka Against the Room, and I pretty much just had the shittiest Christians that you could imagine just come in, tell me everything that you don't like about me. And I think like the very first thing Praise was said is like, I really like your age, but you have no morality. It was something along those lines. Like, you are like one of the least moral people in the history of the world. It was just crazy. So like, my whole stick is, all right, Praise. So you say I have no morality. You started this meme because I'm an atheist. I got to commit bestiality. you're the one threatening to commit murder upon human beings, and you got busted. You got busted cold. Try to delete it, but you got busted. So I'm vindicated. I'm slightly vindicated now.
I was corrected. I totally, as I'm speaking it didn't even dawn on me I was using the wrong word, because he's polyamorous. Cirrus.
Oh, Cirrus, yeah, yes.
Not polygamist. He's polyamorous.
I thought you were talking about Jill. I was like, yeah, Jill could be. He's that kind of misogynist.
Ashley, what's with the angry face? Jeez. People make mistakes.
Ashley's particular about those things.
That's fair, but I should get one, and then if I fuck up again, then you can get all her.
She's used to fuck ups with me. She's constantly in my ear. Allie's like my good conscience. She keeps me in line. I like to fly out off. I will just pretty much say anything. So I often get in trouble for that. Allie's the one like, Naka, you need to calm the fuck down.
Well, Allie and I are practically neighbors. So
yeah, y'all are pretty close. I have the same West Coast barrier with her. She wakes up at it's like 2 p.m. She's like, "Good morning," and I'm like, "Face
morning."
Face
That's morning for night people.
Yeah,
like I used to say that when I got up at like 2 in the afternoon too. But I used to work in the bars, right? I was a bouncer for a long time, so.
I used to be a night person. Now if I'm up past midnight, I am hurting myself. I'm
me too.
Physically going to regret it. My body's gonna shut down. I can't do it no more. I remember
once in a while I can, but yeah, even weekends, right? Where I have my Friday nights, by the time 10:30 rolls around at jam night, I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm too old for this shit. I gotta go home. Yeah. I gotta go home and take out my teeth.
Yeah, well, that's if I drink, I usually have to drink alone because I'm going to bed early. It's very rare if I'm staying up. Yeah, I do all my work during the day.
It's kind of funny though, because sometimes I'll do streams and they'll just go on forever, right? And then you realize, holy shit, it's 2 a.m. But when you're doing something like that, it's a little different, I think, because you're energized and you're talking to people and
I had a 8-hour stream with Brett Keane and G-Man. I mean, so many people showed up in that stream.
Fucking G-Man.
I can't even think of all the different people that showed up in that stream. And I used to do that all the time. Like I remember X from Utah Outcast used to talk about my stamina. And now I'm like, I'm lucky to do a 2-hour stream. 2 hours, I'm good. We might do an hour on Discord for an after show, but after that, I don't have that stamina anymore. And it wasn't that long ago when I was doing those things. It was 6-7 months ago.
It seemed like yesterday.
Yeah, I try to get G-Man back on. He's ignoring me. He's ignoring Drag. Drag's been trying to get him to come back on. He doesn't want to do it. So
I'm talking to Drag about coming on the show too, and he's I think we're gonna reconvene a little after the holidays and talk about it, because I don't think he could do any of the times that I still had available, because I'm fucking booked till the end of February now.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah. So
I know Ashley's jealous because she's been trying to get me to do that for months. I need to start scheduling better. I will, Allie. I promise. I will. I'm so bad at scheduling. I'm obsessive. Like I'm OCD. Like I am very obsessive. Whatever the hell I'm obsessing about today, I'm gonna do it right. So I'm not gonna schedule a guest that I want to talk to on Thursday. I'm gonna make a rage video.
She's quoting some George Thorogood in the chat too. I drink alone.
Yeah, she's one of the best people I've ever met.
Well, I've only met her a couple of times, and she's been awesome.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Yeah, that's right. We do have to schedule. You're right. We will.
She'd be a good one. I'd like to hear her story. I've heard a lot of it, but I'd like other people to hear her story. She'd be a good one for you.
For sure. I've had many pagan/polytheist people on my show, like Ocean, Callan, and a couple others. Well,
I'm about to take the reins off of her. We haven't talked about it yet, so she's hearing this for the first time. I think it's time for her to stop being a moderator and just be like my co-host on Thursday night, so she can just go at people because she's smarter than I am. So there you go, Allie.
Hey, Math Pig, welcome. Algebra. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm totally getting over the flus. I think my my voice is okay. Nobody in the chat's been talking smack about my voice.
You've been fine. She's okay. She's a theist. Callan.
Yeah, Callan's another one of my favorites. She should be on tomorrow, Callan. I forgot to reach out to Wolf, but we should be doing a show on autism tomorrow, and Callan will be on. So yeah, that'll be interesting. I feel like I let this torrent out. Like I had it all planned out. So yeah, I feel good.
It did shit right.
Yeah.
God equals the square root of -1 says, I'm a polyatheist. I didn't know that was a thing.
Neither did I.
I think it's just atheists, and all of them are lumped into that category.
I know. The first time I ever saw his name, God equals the square root of -1, and Drag had an interesting conversation about how it's a joke name because it's an impossible number.
Right.
It was pretty interesting conversation.
Yeah. I misread it as the square root of 1 when I first saw it. So
we do schedules around here. Yeah, I need to be a lot better about my schedules. But I want to get back to the fucking just let anybody come in that want to. You know, like I used to do way back in the day. But I don't want to do it too much because I get doing like dumpster fires like really drain on you. But I really want to get back.
Yeah.
Like I really want to get back to doing that sometimes. So I think we're gonna try to do that soon. It's just like I don't want like Jill and Praise and Sky Out anymore. I'm done with those guys. If I'm gonna have new troll Christians to have dumpster fires with, I need new ones. So anybody that if you're a troll Christian and you want to have your shot, come in my stream. Please.
God equals the square root of -1 is asking, did I hear about the lady with the Satan shirt on a plane who was asked to remove it as it was offensive?
I heard about it. Yeah.
I did not hear about that.
Yeah, supposedly, yeah, this lady, and I think it actually happened. She had a Hail Satan shirt, respectable, like, you know, no reason really to take it off unless you're some Christian, you know, pilot or I don't know what they call them anymore, airline attendant. and unless you're just taking offense to it. So yeah, I guess they made her take it off, or she was going to be booted off. I think she took it off. I think she changed her shirt. But yeah, I found that very disturbing in modern America. Like, you shouldn't even get away with that in like Texas.
It's like fuck. Who gives a shit?
Yeah,
it's offensive to who?
Yeah. And it doesn't even make you a Satan worshiper. Like,
fucking deal with it. That's what
it's literally a T-shirt. You know, I wear far more offensive T-shirts. So like even people that know me could get offended by this shit. You know, but they don't because they know me. So I think therefore I'm atheist. This was actually my first piece of fan art I ever got. So like it's like a badge of honor for me.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. That's very cool.
Yeah, you have to remember those times.
Yes, of course. I've never gotten any fan art. I've had
fan mail, not fan art. Fan mail. They actually sent it to me. I won't tell you everything they sent me because I don't want to get them in trouble.
Yeah. It's the new flashlight. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was funny because it happened the first time, and then it happened like a lot, and then it hasn't happened since. Like, what the hell? Like, I didn't do nothing special. Like, what the hell? But it just happened a lot. Like
Did it happen when you changed your channel name to Nakasuchi and then back again? Like, did it happen around
It was around that time, yeah. That's kind of weird.
Might be something.
It's kind of weird. Well, with these new terms of service, I've said that if I should be like one of the first channels deleted. So when they delete me, my backup channel is Nakasuchi again. So it'll be like the second try with it, because the first try failed miserably. I'm not gonna lie. I changed it for like a month and a half, maybe at most. And Allie will tell you, because she dealt with it the most. I flipped out every single day about it. And like I watched as all of my analytics went from like being in the green for the last 2 years to diving into the red big time. And I just watched it and I'm like, I fucked up here. I fucked up. I fucked up. I know I fucked up. Allie, I'm going to change it. Just give it time, Knock. Just give it time. Nope, I fucked up.
So, Knock, are your Thursday streams open to anyone?
Yeah, usually, unless we're doing like a scheduled topic, but I want to start doing them open to anyone.
Okay, so you mean I can crash?
Oh, yeah, you could crash. Don't, my one rule so far, and I actually got talked out of it because I was going to actually do it, is like if you're an actual Nazi, the moment I find out you're an actual Nazi, I'm going to boot your ass off the stream. And Jill's like forever banned. I think maybe I might have praise back on if he actually says he's sorry for trying to, threaten somebody with murder. If he actually apologizes to the guy that he threatened to murder, I might have praise back on. But Jill never, because he's like a Nazi. But outside of that, yeah, anybody. If you want to come and talk to me, it's open to anybody. And yeah, Neil, anytime, you're welcome. We do have scheduled streams. So like tomorrow we're going to be talking autism. And I'm going to try to have people with that's on the range to be there. But in my open rooms, because we're going to start doing open rooms again, definitely anybody's welcome. And I think that we're going to pretty much have backed up to like maybe a 10-person limit. We'll see how that works out.
That's a lot, dude.
Yeah, well, that's what we used to do with Hangouts, and it was
I know.
It was interesting, to say the least. So I don't know. Allie's just now hearing all of this for the first time, so I'm going to be hearing about this for the next couple of days. So.
Well, you and I, in the last time we were hanging out, had talked about maybe doing something together as well. Yeah, I want to do that, and I am going to start doing collaborations with people. I was supposed to do my first one on Sunday, but I got the flu, and so that didn't work out. So I'm going to work with her tomorrow. Hopefully, if she's open, we'll get that done. So yeah, I'd love to do a collaboration with you, Neil, because I think collaboration videos, edited videos where I can really put them together, would be the most logical next step, I think. And then I can get you in. I can get other various of my friends that I made over the last year since I've been out in the community. For my first year as a raging atheist, I didn't even know about the community. So it's been a wild ride this year. Pretty wild. Well, there's the communities. There's a lot of really good people in the community, and you're starting to get your way in there anyway, more so now.
Oh yeah. I know a lot more people than I ever thought I would have, honestly. Like you start talking to people like especially like if you did watch them for before, like there's a couple people that I watched before I even started doing YouTube that I actually talk to now. So like those moments you're like, holy shit. Like,
I know.
It's really crazy. Like the first time I talked to Noah Plum, like we only briefly talked, just briefly had an exchange. But he was one of the guys that I really used to watch all the fucking time.
I love Noel.
So like when he even subscribed to my channel, it like blew me the fuck. I was starstruck. I was like, "How do you act, man? How do you act?"
Yeah, he come to mine too, and I was like, "Whoa, what?"
Well, like, how do you not sound like a complete like fanboy right now?
And I just, are you familiar with Creaky Blinder?
Sounds familiar.
Oh fuck, dude! Sub to his channel. He's hilarious. I've invited him on the show. But I sent him a message on Twitter, and he responds really well because he was always liking my comments in his videos because I just think the guy's fucking hysterical. and he's Welsh, and I'm a quarter Welsh, so
Mhm.
we have that little connection. And there's IQ. Oh, now you show up. It's like an hour later.
Yeah, he's waiting for that after show.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we've got. I've had some couple of requests to come in, and you won't believe one of them.
Really?
Although I don't think he really sent me the message knowing that anyone in particular was going to be on tonight, but Jamie Boone from Talk Heathen.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, that's somebody I haven't met yet. So that'll be nice. Although
Jamie's awesome, dude.
They did talk about me once. I had it in my channel trailer before I took it down. I'm thinking about putting that channel trailer back up. Oh yeah. It was back when I was in Matt Powell, or no, one of their callers called in and was talking shit about me.
Do something for that.
Oh yeah, they were talking shit about me. So Jamie and they didn't know who I was, so they were just kind of like going on like, I don't know who you're talking about. So yeah, I put that clip in my channel trailer there for a minute, but that's the only time. He's one of the few that I haven't talked to, although we're in like the same circles, like we're in the same Twitter chats, and we just never had a chance to actually speak. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, that'll be cool.
Of course, Ali wants to come in, and Stephen or Atheist News is going to come in as well.
Sweet.
He's great people too. I collabed with him a couple times doing his Atheist Jeopardy show, and and I've done work with Zod, Prophet of Zod. I've done some voices for his stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. He's another one that I've watched.
Have you not seen those?
Huh?
Have you not seen those that he's done?
No, not with your voice in it. No.
Okay, look up Into the Zodverse. I voice older Zod, and because it's just like Into the Spider-Verse. And the other one is the Bible Quiz Jeopardy or whatever, and I do the voice for Ray Comfort.
Oh, that would be funny. I might have actually watched them and just not realized that was your voice.
Oh, maybe.
Because I
disguised it, right?
One that I've watched for quite a while now. Before I ever even came out into the community, I think like. Back when I was talking to Sirs about how I didn't know anybody, he was probably one of the few I was actually watching. Him and Cult of Dusty. I don't watch Cult of Dusty much anymore though.
No, he kind of went south.
I do every once in a while. I get on his channel and I watch the old videos, and I'm like, I just laugh my ass off because back in the day, he was funny. I miss the funny.
Yes,
I miss the funny Dusty too.
Yeah,
I miss the funny guy.
I don't know what happened. I think all of this fame and notoriety got to his head, and he just turned into, instant asshole just to add fame.
Yeah, and now his show is just kind of like a parody.
It's a political fucking minefield.
Yeah, it's. I watched it once, and I was like, I can't. But I still will. I will go watch, History's Channel, the Bible in under 10 minutes. That is one of my favorite videos, atheist videos of all time. If you haven't seen that video, and you want to see one of the influences of a raging atheist, go watch that video. that video changed my fucking life.
Awesome. Well, dude, what do you say we pick this up in an after party?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I know my daughter is wanting like a few minutes of attention. So
it's okay because I'm going to take a bit of a break. I got to take a leak. Got to grab some more beers into the cooler. Go have a quick smoke, maybe a quick cough, and then we'll get things going. So
I'm totally cool with that. So yeah, I'm down. I appreciate you letting me tell my story.
Oh fuck, dude, anytime.
I think that's the first time I actually told it beginning to end like that. So yeah, that's cool.
10-minute clips.
yeah, because they're usually like 10-minute videos. An atheist story. Let's talk about this one little moment of my life. So yeah, it was different trying to put it all together. So yeah, that's cool, man. I like what you're doing here. It's awesome.
Thanks, brother. It means a lot. Because I'll be honest, man. When I stumbled on your channel, this is a while ago. I just instantly liked it. I liked the tone that you had. I liked the way you thought about things, and I was like, I could be friends with this fucking guy.
Yeah.
I could drink with this fucking guy.
Well, and that's what I like tell people. Like, yeah, I rage, but I'm like the biggest teddy bear, man. Like I'm a softie.
It's the largest 6'5" teddy bear.
Yeah, 6'5" teddy bear, and I've actually got meat on my bones, so I'm not a beanpole.
I'm right there with you at 6'5".
Yeah, I know that blew me away when I found that out. I was like, holy shit, this is another reason why we just naturally get along, because we both understand, we're very big men in a world of normal people.
Well, not as big people.
Yeah, not as big. You know, I hate being tossed. Like they always ask me, "Can you get this?" I'm like,
yeah, off the top. Oh, I know. It's like I say, Neil, can you come into the kitchen? Height requirement issue.
Like they invented a stepping stool like 200 years ago.
Yeah. Can you change the light bulb? All right, I'm not that tall, and we have 12-foot fucking ceilings. Okay, so.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is another reason we get along. But yeah, I'm totally down for the after show. I'm ready.
I'm ready. All right. Then that's what we'll do. So, anyways, brother, thank you so much for joining me today, man. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Awesome. Yeah,
thank you so forward to this. And we've tried to set this up a couple of times, and things just happen. You know, shit gets in the way. Life happens.
Yeah.
So, but we finally got her done, and I'm pleased as punch.
Awesome.
And and also all you guys in the chat, thank you so much for dropping in and hanging out with us. I've been trying to respond as much as possible if I catch the things, but of course I have to direct my attention to Naka, obviously, because he's my guest of honor today. Oh, hello, Lilith. Now you show up. We're just ending. Anyways, we're going to do an after party. If you are interested in being in there, although I'm really sure there's not going to be much room left because I have people that have asked me well ahead of this to come in. Like I said, Jamie Boone and Atheist News, and of course, Ali, who's Naka's partner in crime on his channel. So she's like a gimme. And probably IQ might want to come in as well. And Angie said she might want to jump in too. So there may not be room for everyone. But I do get people that will swap in and out if you're interested in it. I know, Lilith. But we've been going an hour. So it's time to close this out and get into an after party. But you're welcome to hang out in the chat for the after party. But anyways, guys, like I say, if you do like the show, like what I do here, I have a link to my Patreon down below. You can become a patron, or you can do a one-time donation in my PayPal. You know, Christmas is coming, and I do have an Amazon wish list, and there's lots of stuff on there I could really use, like a nice carrying case, which is only $20 for this thing. By the way, we're Yeti brothers.
Yeah, no, that's what brought me and Sirs together too. We were Yeti brothers as well.
And of course, there's a link to Naka's Patreon too, if you liked what you heard tonight and would like to help support either one of our shows. It's $1, $2 gets me closer to another 15 pack of beer. So there you go. And believe me, that's what this is part of the show. So you are helping support the show, because I always like to have a couple beers while I do the show.
Yeah, I'm gonna join him in the after show. I've cut down, but I'm gonna join Neil drinking in the after show.
It's you know, we've been working on this for a while, so it's like a reward.
Yeah, you got to.
Anyways, guys, there should be no, I don't think I put a link to the after show, but just type in a Raging Atheist after show and you'll find it. And we'll see you guys in over there. And like I always say at the end of these things, like the late great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.